Hey there, it's Casey Stubbs, and today's episode is titled Covered Calls and Big Risks, Hard Lessons That Can Save Your Account. Now, I teach people how to replace their income every single week, and it's really amazing, and I love doing what I do because I'm seeing tangible, actual results from people that are getting to the point where they have learned that they can now have a second income, and it gives them a lot of freedom. One of the people that was on my members area just said they did 4.8% this week, and they've been profitable every week the last 4 weeks. So I'm really excited about that. And with that being said, though, there are some risks. And even conservative strategies like covered calls can carry serious risk if executed without discipline. And I know the discipline word's kind of like, oh, it's so horrible to hear all the time, but it's true. And it's not like I've got to be like this hardcore person. You just got to know a couple basic things. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about big risks that save your account, because I helped a lot of people this week. And that's one of the things, the key lessons too, is just to reach out and get help. You know, if you're listening to this podcast, go to wherever I'm posting it and then find out how to reach out to me if you need help. I know that I speak and teach and thousands of people get my messages, and so few people actually reach out to get help. And I don't know why that is. I know that for me personally, I hate asking for help too, because it shows that I have some weakness. I don't want to have weakness. I want to be strong. I don't want people to think that I'm a failure. I don't want to remove this mask that people look at me and that I'm equal to them or I'm on their level. It's just very hard. But when you do that, when you reach out, it allows people to implement their giftings to help you, right? Because my gifting is to help you in this area of life. You might have other areas where I need help, but in trading, I'm here to help you. And so when you reach out, I'm like, okay, that's what I'm here for. So it's really dangerous to be trading without a system and without understanding all the risks. And that was one of the key things that happened today. So, or not today, but this week. So this week, I'm going to talk about my Apple trade. Okay, so I traded on Apple. How it played out, what happened, what I did right, what happened, what went wrong. First of all, it was a cash secured put. And I did a strike price of $222.5. And then the floor flew under. The floor was broken. It collapsed. It went all the way to 175. I mean, it was brutal. I was underwater, $47. It's like, ouch. Now, why is this dangerous? Why is this so bad? This is a critical scenario that could have got me into a lot of trouble, but I was very fortunate. So why is it dangerous? Well, because I can't sell calls below cost basis without locking in losses. So what that means is I paid $220. If I was to sell a 180 call, well, then I would have to sell my shares at 180, and I would lose 40 some dollars per share. $40 per share on 100 shares is a lot of money, right? So it's dangerous to do this. So the lesson is never rush in to do a call just to collect income. Always understand your break even and collect it. So I sold the call, but when price rose up, I closed that call for a loss. It's okay to close a call for a loss. Actually, I take that back. I didn't close it for a loss. It dropped, and when it dropped, I closed it for a very small gain. So with that being said, I was able to close that call, hold on to my stock, and then I sold another call. And now it's 205 and I'm selling calls around the 220 strike. It's not a great premium, but it's good. So I saved my account. And one of the things that I just sent out to my members is that we're up 20% year to date. Is that not crazy when you think about it? Because the rest of the market is down and yet we're up 20%. It's one of the awesome things that's so good about freedom income options and why I'm so happy, because we can make money in down markets like this. So it's amazing. All right. My next story that I wanted to talk about is I want to talk about a member that I helped. So the first trade was my trade, but I want to talk about a member that I helped that was trading with Nvidia. The member sold a covered call and it went down, and they were selling calls, right? Or they sold a cash secured put. It dropped, and then they were selling calls on that. Well, they ended up selling calls, but it went up above their price. And the member reached out to me and said, "Hey, what should I do? Should I just let these get called away?" I said, "Well, you're going to end up at break even if you let them get called away. Why don't you close the calls for a loss? Because I think that Nvidia is going to rock." So they followed my counsel. They closed those call positions and they didn't lose their stock. And then they sold some more calls this week. And Nvidia cruised past, I think the strike that they were selling was with like 102. It cruised past 102, and now it's trading at 115. And so now they're able to get almost $10 a share on those calls. So sometimes covered calls will cap your gains, but you've got to choose strikes with high enough buffer or accept the trade-off, right? So if you go $10 and it goes past it, well, great. You just made $10 a share. That's good money. But sometimes it'll go past it and you're not getting the money on the shares. If you do have a covered call, you want to try to make the money on the shares going up. That's where the big value is. And you know what? That's one of the huge benefits of this strategy. And that's why we use stocks that we want to buy. Okay. Now, the third part that I want to talk about, and that's the margin trap. And this is another member that I was talking with. And, you know, we had a conversation, and I discovered that it was like, oh my goodness, I discovered that their margin, they were way over, right? They were way over in their margin. And what I like to teach is either to not use margin or very little, because if the market tanks, you have to do a margin call, you're forced into a loss, because it's all about managing risk and it's all about control. And when you're using margin, you have no control because you're forced to take a loss. I saw someone in this last dip that said they were forced to take a margin call and lost 240,000, right? And so if you're trading on margin, I just don't recommend it unless you really know what you're doing. But the other thing is you don't really need it. We can grow our revenues, we can grow our income, we can grow our cash flow without taking that additional margin risk. But I was able to help this person, right? And help them escape. Like, let's say the market did take a big dip and they got stuck. Well, you always got to be managing risk first. And so by identifying that, this person was able to really learn something valuable and save their account and learn some good lessons. So again, it's just why I love my membership, is because, so just remember that margin does magnify your mistakes. And I think that if you're going to use covered calls, make sure that you understand the margin. I personally teach not to use it, but I'm not going to tell people what to do. But remember, it does magnify your mistakes and you lose total control. All right, one other story here. And these are all real stories, but this is on one of my friends who was trading in Coinbase. And they had covered calls, and Coinbase dropped about $110 on them. And so they were selling calls, collecting income, which is great. But it was way below the break-even point. Again, you can do that. You just got to watch your strike price. As soon as price starts to go up, as soon as your delta goes up, as soon as strike, you got to roll that call or close it. but it turned really fast, and Bitcoin got bullish, Coinbase got bullish, and so he was forced to close the trade because the price went way above his call, and he got called away, and he took a big loss. So I really felt bad for him. He's, he's a great trader, and he really knows what he's doing, but you've got to really have a plan. You've got to have an understanding of where your calls are at all time. And so he took a big loss because he didn't follow his expirations properly. Okay. So what I teach people how to not make that mistake. And it's pretty cool. So I'm really excited about all of the people that we're helping. Look, my mission is 100,000 people to replace their income. I'm not joking about that. So please hit me up on X, x.com, Casey Stubbs. Ask me some questions. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Hit me up on YouTube. I'll put all the links in here. I'm here to engage with you so that you can ask me some questions, but just a review here. Know your cost basis on selling calls. Remember that upsides can happen, and also just avoid margin on your strategies, and don't trade alone. Get help before things go wrong, and that's why I have the Freedom Income Options community. Come join us, learn what we're all about. I've got a webinar that I'm going to be sharing, teaching some of this stuff. So go join the webinar. We don't just trade for profit. We trade for freedom the right way. And I'm here to help you become successful and to replace your income, to double your retirement revenue, to leave the job that you don't like, to give you freedom to spend time with those people that you love. That's what I'm here for. So again, thanks a lot for listening, and hit me up with those questions. Check the description for access on how to get contact with me. But thanks a lot. We'll see you in the next episode.